Hey folks, Brian Latimer here. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about fishing electronics today, and in most particular how I use my electronics to find structure and fish. Oh yes! That's some more drag, boy! You know, electronics are a real important part in fishing. They can really make you a lot more efficient when you're out there on the water. With today's side imaging technology, you know, I can go in a cove or I can go in a point, any kind of offshore structure. I can look to the left, to the right, and up under me all at the same time. And that's something that we couldn't do in the past. So electronics are most important because they give me the ability to see structure before I get to it. I have mapping capabilities on here. I can see contours either while I'm setting at one creek. I can look at contours in another creek. If I'm in my shop, I can turn my graph on and see the actual contours on a particular body of water. That's real important. It makes me more efficient, and I can cover a lot more water, be a lot more efficient out there if I learn how to use my electronics properly. So I'm going to show you some of the settings that I use on my Lowrance electronics that I really like and that seem to help me when I'm out there cover a lot more water quickly. One of the most important things you can do on your electronics is have multiple screen sets. And I have the capability to use my chart, my sonar, and my structure scan capability all in one screen if I choose to do so. And it's real easy to do that. All you have to do, if you go, I've already got some screen presets here, but I'll show you how to make a screen preset. You'll click on one that's blank here, and you can see to your left here that it has every panel that you'd want to create. This is my chart, sonar, my info, the steering, structure, and video. Primarily, what most of you guys are going to use is your chart, sonar, and structure scan. Occasionally, guys, if you don't have gauges on your boat, my boat's equipped with gauges, you can also hook your information up to a panel, and you can run all your engine, your RPM, your speed, gas, and fuel all off your Lowrance unit. You have that capability if you choose to do so. But I tend to just use my structure, chart, and sonar is what I use most often. And all you have to do is very easy to use. All you have to do is drag whatever chart you want. If I want a chart, say I just want traditional 2D sonar, I drag it to the screen and that's it. Mash save. All I have to do is hit save, and then it's right there. When I want to go and retrieve a different screen, I'll hit the pages button, and I can hit whatever screen preset that I want. Hit pages and say I want mapping and I want my structure scan. I've got a preset button for that. If I want to have all four at the same time, all three at the same time, I've got that as well. And on structure scan, I can look to the left and right, and I also can have down scan where I can see what's directly under the boat. On the bottom screen here, that's my down scan. Top screen is structure scan, left to right, and then I've got my mapping on the other side here. Typically, when I'm actually running and I'm actually going from spot to spot, and I use my units a lot when I'm going from spot to spot, just moving from point A to point B, because it's really important not to hit a structure when you're out there fishing, especially on some of these lakes that are a lot more dangerous. Typically, when I'm going from spot to spot, I'm going to use, and I'll make one up for you here. I'm going to use basically the chart. It's really important to know where I'm going. My GPS is a real important part of knowing where you're going. And I'll use my 2D sonar. My transducer is mounted inside the hull of my boat, so that allows me to use to mark get a depth reading while I'm on plane using my boat. So I'll use that screen preset, I'll save it, and that's what I actually use when I'm going from point A to point B. It's real important to learn how to use your mapping as well. A lot of times, especially in a competition, people are going to fish everything that you can visually see. All the visual points, all the visually humps or the banks that have the right rock, the ones that you can actually visually see with your eyes, everybody's going to fish that. But if you can learn how to use your electronics to find those little hidden gems, those points that aren't quite as obvious, those banks that have rocks on them that extend out a little bit farther than the eye can see. That's going to make the difference, and a lot of times those places have a lot less pressure and you can find those fish a lot easier to catch. Dark areas are going to be deeper, shallow areas are going to be a lot lighter. This is just timber I'm starting to mark here that you see right here on the left. This timber, you can see as this screen starts to lighten up, that means we're getting shallower. If it's closer to you, it's going to be brighter. The farther it is away from you, the darker it's going to be. And you can see this is the beginnings of the road bed coming in right here on my right. That's a road bed. All this that you see right there is a road bed that we're idling over. And it's actually over here to my right is where that road bed is. So that gives you an idea of what structure actually looked like when you're looking over a road bed. And the great thing about structure scan is I can look to the sides of it. A lot of times those fish won't be right on the top structure of whatever structure you're looking for. This one happens to be a road bed. I have the capability to ride right over that road bed and see exactly where it is. If I wanted to waypoint where that is, I could put my cursor right on there and waypoint it, and I could drive straight to it or make a cast to it, however I need to do it. I'm looking out to the left and right here. You see there's a couple fish right there. You see there's a picture of a couple fish right there on the bottom on structure scan. Little wild spotted bass, most likely. Basically what I'm doing is I'm idling over the other end of that same road bed that we started off on right there. You see there's the end of it right there. You can see where the road bed crosses the lake right there. That's the road bed continuing across. It's not quite as defined on this side. Now we can compare, just to give you a comparison of how clear and crisp it is looking at structure scan. I'll compare that road bed on structure scan and let's look at it on 2D sonar. That way you can compare how you can really interpret what you're looking at a lot easier when you're using structure scan technology. And back in the day, this is what we used a lot, was just 2D sonar. We're actually going over some fish right now. I'll throw some waypoint on that. That's a big school of striper we're going over now. And how you'll know that we're going over the road bed this time is it'll have just a lot harder return. The return will be yellow. Anytime you see a nice hard yellow return, that's the road bed, and that's we're coming up on it right now. You see that was the road bed right there. Not quite as obvious, but that was it. As I'm idling around looking for structure or looking for fish, I don't really go real fast. I just simply put my motor in gear and take my time. Use my structure scan. I'm already covering plenty of water when I use my structure scan, looking to the left and right. You know, oftentimes people think that using your electronics is strictly for fishing deep water, but I use it a lot for fishing shallow water as well. When you guys are out there and you're fishing, especially aquatic vegetation, you're fishing submerged grass, if you're really good with your electronics, you can tell what type of grass that you're fishing over or around just by looking at your structure scan. Certain grasses show up a little bit more shiny than others, and you can find those grass lines that are a little bit deeper than the ones that you can't actually visually see. When I'm scanning around docks, there's a particular time of the year around here at home where fish really get on that shallowish brush that you can find, and if you can find some brush around docks, they're always a hot spot. So you can find brush, you can find rocks, you can find differences in bottom texture, all by just understanding how to interpret your graphs. So that's a little bit about how I use my electronics when I'm out there fishing. I use them to find structure, I use them to navigate, and I also use them to actually catch fish. So spend some time with your electronics. That's the best way to learn how to use them, is actually getting out there on the water, looking at the screen, and experiment with them. Spend some time with them. I can promise you it's going to make fishing a lot more fun, and your tournament results are going to show.